This is Roger Stone. The holidays are here, and it's the time of year when travel, crowds, and cold weather mean one thing. Everybody's getting sick. And in moments like this, you don't want to rely on the bureaucracy, the nonsense, or the slow-moving medical machine. You want control. You want to be prepared. You want options. That's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy, a company that actually puts you in charge of your health. You can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone, place your order online, and a licensed physician reviews it. Once approved, your medication ships directly to your doorstep. Fast, private, and secure. So whether you're looking for ivermectin, antibiotics, or everyday maintenance medications, All Family Pharmacy now has you covered. No waiting rooms, no runaround, no interference. This holiday season, don't gamble with your health or your family's health. Stay prepared, stay protected, stay in control. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/stone and now save 10% with code STONE10. Take charge of your health because nobody cares about your freedom more than you do.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, which is outside Washington, D.C., one of the most liberal districts in the country, Eric Siebert, had been quietly preparing a 51-page memo arguing why former FBI Director James Comey should not be charged with lying to Congress under oath, which he clearly did. He also failed to disclose his material conflict of interest in the case. You see, Mr. Siebert's father-in-law, his wife's father, is the godfather to James Comey's daughter. The gentleman in question also represented Comey, a material conflict of interest, not just the appearance of one. It should have caused him to recuse himself. He was fired by President Donald Trump. Trump appointed an interim U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan, who is extraordinarily attractive, but also an extraordinary attorney. They demeaned her as a beauty queen because of her looks, and they kept calling her an insurance lawyer, when in fact she was a senior partner for civil litigation of a major Florida law firm, and she oversaw an enormous amount of civil litigation regarding mortgages, housing, and so on. She managed to go to as the prosecutor, go to a grand jury, win an indictment of Letitia Brown on all counts. And yes, everybody in the jury saw all counts. And then that case was not surprisingly dismissed, not on the basis of the merits of the case, but on the basis of her status. A ruling by 3 federal judges that is deeply, deeply flawed, in which they violate the canon of ethics, they leak. It becomes very clear that they don't want to deal with the issues of what Comey did. So Avi Loeb, whose filings in the case are almost laughable in their absurdity, I can't believe the guy charges for this, has led the charge. Now, because the judge dismissed essentially Lindsay Halligan, a new prosecutor named Keller was appointed, among others, to prosecute the case, and they have failed to get an indictment from a grand jury. Now, this is a documents case, and therefore that's almost impossible to believe. But there is no better person to talk about this than investigative journalist and a gentleman who has gotten my respect because he brings the receipts, Sam Antar. His website, whitecollarfraud.com, is where he posts all the receipts. So there's no conjectures, there's no supposition, just hard, cold analysis. And he's approved this case. He was surprised when the second jury did, but it seems to have been done quickly. I was not surprised. I think this case is becoming politicized. Sam, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
And thank you for having me on, Roger. I would just say this. Lindsay Halligan, an inexperienced MAGA beauty queen, what they like to call her, was able to get an indictment, whereas a 30-year veteran of the DOJ, Roger Keller, wasn't able to get an indictment.
Career professional prosecutor.
Professional prosecutor.
Chosen, I am told, by the Department of Justice at the senior level. An associate of John Sauer, comes out of Missouri, could be a fine fellow, I don't know, but lawyers follow the instructions of their clients. I don't think... the problem, of course, here is that, and I'm not sure people realize this, but Letitia James, it's not just mortgage. She has led a life of crime. Her public filings are a disaster. Let's say, appear to be written by a monkey. Things disappear, things come back, things she didn't report, mortgages that are no longer in existence are reported, while mortgages that are current are not even in the reports. It's hard to believe. There's a lot of evidence that she's used campaign money for personal use. That's a crime. There's a huge question about her fundraising and how much of it's real. She took in millions from Act Blue. That's a payment processing company. When a group in upstate New York started canvassing her donors, which is public information, she stepped in as Attorney General and issued a cease and desist order, essentially a Nixon-style cover-up of her own duplicity. What is your opinion, Sam, of this dismissal?
Well, let's talk about the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to discuss. Is Todd Blanche, the number 2 at the DOJ, okay? He removed Lindsay Halligan from the case, and he put on Roger Keller, the career prosecutor who couldn't obtain an indictment.
It was my understanding that Blanche didn't remove her. The court removed her.
The court removed her, but she could have still been involved in arguing with the grand jury, etc. She wasn't. Keller was the one that was installed as a result, and Blanche was behind it. Now,
I don't know this to be true, but go ahead.
Okay, Blanche, I'm a pattern guy. I look at the patterns, I analyze. I don't read, I analyze, okay? There have been 52 or 54 leaks coming from the Justice Department on this case. All of the leaks are not favorable to the prosecution. Of those 54 leaks, 6 of them are very, very favorable to Todd Blanche. And as an old school crook, I can tell you, when you don't want to say something, have the press say it for you. All of them talk about Blanche not liking the case. All of them talk about Blanche wanting to, not all of them, but one in particular talks about Blanche wanting to investigate Bill Pulte, the FHFA chairman, because it's a crime to read my blog, to look at the documented findings in my blog, and use that blog to create a criminal investigation. It's USC Code 1000.
The president's spokesman, Steve Young, of course, put out a statement yesterday from the president praising and re-expressing his confidence in Pulte. Pulte has been under attack for the simple reason that he is taking it to the Democrats when it comes to justice and accountability. It's not retribution and revenge. It is prosecuting people when they have committed crimes. Washington is this is a contact sport in Washington, and Bill has been in the middle of it. I believe his actions to be entirely legal. I believe all the records that he referred to the Department of Justice for assessment were matters of public record that anyone with a laptop and half a brain could get. So the allegation that you hear from people like Elizabeth Warren that he accessed proprietary government data and shared it publicly is entirely false. The Steve Chung, the White House spokesman, said in a statement, Bill Pulte is one of the president's most loyal and important advisors who is doing a great job. He is also deeply involved in the working with the president, who's trying to decide what to do with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Scott Bessent, another one of the president's most brilliant appointees, in my view, in on those discussions with the president. The president has to decide whether to take it public, what portion the government should continue to control. These are financial issues of mine, but Bill works closely with the Treasury Secretary and the president on that. The president will ultimately decide, but many on Wall Street, many in the business community looking extraordinarily carefully about that. The conduct of the judges in this matter they're really extraordinary. Judge Michael Nachmanoff, a Biden appointee, engages in bias, media reliance, contrary to legal rules under Canon 2, constant hostility to the prosecution. I read the transcript. He accused Ms. Halligan of being a puppet, ceding her no express. That's not neutral judicial questioning. That's insinuation. He admits in his own marks he relies on newspaper accounts instead of the evidence that's been entered into the court in front of him. He continues to comment on things he read in the press. By law, of course, judges can't rely on external reporting. Canon 3 forbids it. But this reporting shaped the judge's skepticism. Then the one-sided interruptions. He stopped the prosecution some 67 times. He did not interrupt Ivy Lowell and Letitia James not one time. The federal government misstated the record. The judge misstated the record. The judge then had to cover his derriere by filing a notice of correction because he realized his error. He prejudged his prosecutorial independence from the beginning. It was really an extraordinary experience that I think merits the judge from sitting in this case. There should be a complaint to the Office of Professional Responsibilities, I believe, where you file a formal claim about a judge. Then with Judge Cameron McGowan Curry, she parachuted into this case out of nowhere. She doesn't even sit in Virginia. She sits in South Carolina. We assume the Department of Justice moved her because it would require that. She was personal and demeaning in her conduct to the prosecutor. She belittled her repeatedly from the bench. She also continued to quote newspaper reporting as her sources. It's really almost beyond belief. She had no connection to the venue. Her rulings and her comments will curl the ears of any reasonable lawyer. But last and not worst was a guy named William Fitzpatrick. I don't even know if you knew this, but Sam, he was also complicit in the dismissal of Lindsay Halligan. The point, I guess, is these cases, Letitia James' case was dismissed on a technicality that never looked at the evidence. Please walk us through why this crime is real and why the grand jury should see it rather clearly. It's a documents case.
It's strictly a documents case. It doesn't require my testimony. It doesn't require anyone's testimony, okay? Mortgage documents, let's make this clear. Mortgage documents, by their very nature, okay, are recorded and publicly accessible, okay? Bill Pulte, as the chairman of the FHFA, has a statutory right to gain access to those documents, even though they're alleging that he had no right to have access to it. But let's put that aside, because I was the main catalyst for the investigation. It came from my blog, it came from public information, and that's what Pulte relied upon to write his referral letter.
Sam's right. Sam did break this story at whitecollarfraud.com. If you don't follow him there and you love politics, he doesn't write alone. He's done extraordinary work on the underpinnings and financing of the Mamdani campaign that proved indisputably that it was not a grassroots effort. It was funded by an interlocking group of NGOs, nonprofits, political parties, other entities in violation of the law. That's another story for another day. This case is pretty obvious to me. Of course, judges look for patterns. Letitia James has a 43-year record of mortgage fraud. I believe it's be fair to say that literally every mortgage document she signed has had falsehoods in it, knowable falsehoods, and she's profited from the system. There's no question, she said in a sworn statement, that she would live in this home in Virginia, which got her into this district for court, and it would be her principal residence. That was not a check the box. That was a sworn form. That would make her if this was her principal legal residence, she would be a resident of the state of Virginia and ineligible to be the governor of New York under New York state law. Now, she's going to raise a lot of money on this acquittal. I personally think she's not hardly out of the woods. You could yet see, in my opinion, a tax evasion case against her. You could also see a bribery case. You're listening to Roger Stone, talking to Sam Antar, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Roger Stone Show. I just confess to you, I'm a completely political animal. I eat, breathe, and sleep politics. If you cut me, I think I bleed politics. My coming of passage was after I read Barry Goldwater's book, A Conscience of Conservative, 1964. From that time, I knew this is where I wanted to be in the fight. I learned that Barry, while he stood for all the things I did, had gone out of his way to win the 64 election. He was a cranky kind of guy. He'd been drafted anyway. He really didn't want to run. And he went to the Tennessee and advocated selling the TVA. He mused about using nuclear weapons to defoliate the jungles in Vietnam, scaring the hell out of everyone. He went to Florida and said Social Security should be made voluntary. He imploded. I determined by my study that Richard Nixon had been cheated out of the presidency in 1960, and I wrote him a letter in exile where he was practicing law in New York City, telling him if he ran again, I wanted in. And at a very tender age, his people got in touch, and I worked in his 1968 campaign. But long before that, after my infatuation with Goldwater, because I had it immediately in my blood, I became involved in the campaign for mayor of the place I was growing up, living essentially with my grandparents for the summer, in the campaign of Louis J. Padula, the former House Majority Leader of the Connecticut House, who was seeking the mayor's office in the city of Norwalk, which I think is the third or fourth largest city, I believe, in Connecticut. Norwalk was in 1965, in a very strange way, it had the exact same demographic breakdown as the country at large. So despite the changes and how it's constituted today, it had the same number of Protestants and Catholics, the same number of black, whites, and Hispanic, roughly the same party registration figures, the age. It was almost a near perfect microcosm if you polled the United States. I was then fortunate to, I got sucked into local politics where I learned a great deal. The previous mayor, John Shostak, tried to make a comeback. He was one of the most handsome guys I ever met. He photographed terrifically, was a great candidate. He did not get elected, but the city of Norwalk is one of the few cities in the country who's had a socialist mayor, Irving Fries, who ran first as last time as independent, but got elected as a socialist to 2 terms in the city of Norwalk. Was a very popular mayor. He was defeated by Republican Frank Jerry Cook. And then came along a very young, dynamic Democrat named Frank Zulo, who never lived up to his potential. They said he'd be governor or congressman. He ended up as neither. So this is the milieu in which I learned politics, and it was very clear if you could win a race for mayor, which we would ultimately do, Tom O'Connor and others, by putting together the same coalition, you need to win nationally. When young people come to me and say, I want to get into politics, where do I start? Well, you don't start at the White House, kid, nor do you start in a presidential campaign, nor do you start most likely in a Senate race or a House race. as my good friend General Flynn says, get involved at the ground root. County commission races, state senate races, state legislative races, congressional races. Volunteer. If you're looking for a job, it may come, but you begin by volunteering and learning. The political process needs that. Computers and the ability to mass communicate without having to lick envelopes has really changed the dynamic of politics, but there's nothing more effective than word of mouth. All the polls show that voters rely most on things they're told by people they know and trust, rather than television or radio or mail or anything else. Sam Antar, you want to wrap this up?
Yes, very, very easy. I'm going to talk about one
I'm sorry, I've left only about a minute, so I apologize for that.
Okay. One property, 4 contradictory statements. Why Halligan was able to get an indictment when veteran Roger, whatever his name was not able to get an indictment. She tells the bank her property is going to be used as a second home for personal use. She signs an affidavit of occupancy saying she's going to occupy it 3-4 months of the year.
Right.
She tells the insurance company...
Sam, I cut you short here, so come back tomorrow night.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Sam Antar, we'll pick up the other side. God bless you and Godspeed.
Thanks for listening to The Roger Stone Show. You can hear The Roger Stone Show Sunday afternoons at 3. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
This is Roger Stone. The holidays are here, and it's the time of year when travel, crowds, and cold weather mean one thing. Everybody's getting sick. And in moments like this, you don't want to rely on the bureaucracy, the nonsense, or the slow-moving medical machine. You want control. You want to be prepared. You want options. That's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy, a company that actually puts you in charge of your health. You can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone, place your order online, and a licensed physician reviews it. Once approved, your medication ships directly to your doorstep. Fast, private, and secure. So whether you're looking for ivermectin, antibiotics, or everyday maintenance medications, All Family Pharmacy now has you covered. No waiting rooms, no runaround, no interference. This holiday season, don't gamble with your health or your family's health. Stay prepared, stay protected, stay in control. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/stone and now save 10% with code STONE10. Take charge of your health because nobody cares about your freedom more than you do.